AI works splendidly until you need a human to do the thing that AI was supposed to do but couldn't, but that human literally doesn't exist to do that job role or function. Let me explain. So just now, I was trying to transfer some of my Bilt credit card points over to my Marriott account. And the process is not so crazy. The first step is that you just link your accounts. In other words, there's a relationship between Bilt and Marriott where you just sign in with your Marriott account and Bilt knows, okay, you're that person, this is that individual. And then every time going forward, it's already linked. So you just transfer and it's pretty straightforward. At least it's supposed to be. So it's been at least a year, if not definitely way longer than that my Marriott and Bilt accounts were already linked. The thing is, when I was looking through the transfer partners in the Bilt app, one day I noticed that, okay, hey, my Marriott account doesn't seem to be linked, but it's not that big of a deal. I thought maybe it's a temporary glitch or something, and I wasn't looking to transfer points at that time. I was like, whenever it happens, I'll look into it at that future time. The reason behind why I'm even trying to transfer points over to Marriott is that if you're into EDM music, there's one of the most famous DJs, Tiesto. He has a show and it's in San Diego. Given the fact that the event's during the summertime, that to a week before July 4th, and the fact that, it's San Diego / California, so rates are a little bit higher, if not a lot more, depending on which city, and that too, demand versus supply. We're talking about like a Saturday night, and that too for this event, which is at Waterfront Park, which this property, the Residence Inn, it's literally across the street. And Residence Inns, I've spent maybe 12,000 points, like Marriott points back in the day, whenever, to book these type of properties. And in cash, we're talking maybe $100, 150, right? Maybe depending where you are, maybe 200, maybe 250, right? But here, on this weekend, in this one night that I'm looking for, you're talking around like 600 US dollars, right? And then with taxes and fees, it could be that much more. So the point of the story here is that with points, we're still talking a massive number of points. Around 49,000 when I first was looking at it. Now it's like 54,000 at the current time of recording. The point is, I was waiting for two things to happen. The first is that I had 40,000 Marriott points awaiting to hit my Marriott account once my statement closed, which eventually they did, which then my plan was, okay, I'll top up these points with some of my Bilt points. And so here's basically where this problem is occurring. Now, this video is not to go into why are you spending so many tens of thousands of points for this not so great property, right? The reality is, in one nutshell, I would say that the convenience that credit card points and miles can also afford us is the big power of this quote unquote currency. So because of those reasons that I gave, it's not about the property itself, it's about the convenience and access to the actual venue location. So fast forward to today. Basically, I'm ready to book this night. And so I go into my Bilt app, I'm trying to, connect my Bilt account with Marriott. And lo and behold, it kind of just recursively goes back to the same login screen where, it's initiating that flow to connect my accounts. So I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Let me go try this out online. And I've tried a few times as well, but to no avail. So I started thinking, am I the issue? Am I the problem, right? That everyone hates me. I'm joking. But the point is, when I started searching around on Reddit, I found a thread around 4 months ago posted where folks realized the same situation where they had their accounts linked, mysteriously they got unlinked, and when they try again to link them, it didn't work out. I come from a digital product management skill set, which in English is basically the person who understands, okay, what are we trying to build, whether it's an app, a website, maybe it's an app for a kiosk or tablet, and what are all those quote-unquote requirements that need to be built in, and what are basically the developers and the testers, and what are all the technical functions that need to do in order to deliver said app, website, or digital product. Most likely, you don't know my face. But chances are you've actually interacted with at least one, if not multiple, digital experiences that I've been a part of releasing out into the market, whether on the Play Store, the App Store, or on the web. And specific to our context here, I'm talking about in the banking / financial services sector, where we're talking about me being the product owner for not just, one of the biggest banks in America, but globally. So 4 months may sound like, hey, oh, that's not that long. And it could also sound like that's like way too long to have this type of open issue that to in production, in the live environment, right? But the point is, the reality of how something actually gets quote unquote fixed or a feature enhancement or addressing a bug or a defect, right? It all really just comes down to prioritization, and what drives that for the most part is going to be customer impact. For example, if only one user is affected, but their name is Donald J. Trump, then unless if it's them or somebody else, right, like an Elon, chances are, like in a huge environment, right, of like millions of customers, if it's just one edge case scenario or one user being affected, usually it's not going to be prioritized at all. It may hit the backlog because there's only so many resources to do that much of quote unquote work, right? So given X amount of capacity, there's only so much work that can be done. Now, if infinite work can be done, then there would always, in a perfect world, never be an issue. But that's not the case. Hence, there has to be prioritization of what do we address first, second, third, etc. And a quick other reason of maybe not addressing what could be considered a minor issue could be that, hey, there's other flows that are connected, right? So addressing maybe that small bit, right? But that part is connected to, let's say, 5 other flows or 10 other flows. We're not talking about how just this could be fixed, right? But how this affects all these other flows. And that also requires then testing and then iterating on testing if something else breaks, etc. So coming back, I basically tried recreating the same flow because I was thinking, why not try it one more time? Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to work, right? And what I noticed in that, same recreation is that within the app, right? What happened is basically there is no like error message or anything. It just kind of redirects you back to the login screen. So I was like, okay, fine. But when I went onto web, what I found was pretty interesting. I noticed that as I was going through the process, in the URL, right, it already has basically this information that my account was already linked. So that's kind of a good thing, right, in one way. But it doesn't help me because it doesn't register with Bilt, right, that like now I'm still able to transfer my points from Bilt to Marriott. But then I saw one more thing. I saw that in the URL, right, there looked to be like an extra letter, the letter R after Bonvoy. And I was like, okay, so if I remove the R and I just, hit it like without the R, like what happens, right? But then the landing page, that next step, right, that loaded was basically a 404 because that page basically doesn't exist. So we're talking about Bilt a lot as being kind of the issue or the problem source. But the fact is, we're trying to go from Bilt to Marriott. And in the end, right, maybe it isn't Bilt's issue. Maybe it's Marriott's issue. It could be, right? We don't know, right? So the point is that I don't want this to be like, hey, it's Bilt's fault, right? It could be something in the middle. Maybe there's an API or a connector between Bilt and Marriott, which may not be functioning as expected. But all that to say, the functionality does not work as it stands right now. So coming back now to why I titled this video the way I did is because Bilt works heavily with a lot of AI/automated workflows. And that's great to scale, something for one user and then have the same features and functionality for now, let's say 1,000 users or 100,000 or 1,000,000, right? And so on and so forth. But when in this scenario, right, this type of situation happens, I would expect I can call up Bilt and say, hey, I want to transfer my Bilt points to my Marriott account. This is my Marriott number. I can verify myself. And can you please do this now? Thank you very much. Like American Express, you can do this today. But with Bilt, they try to fix the core issue, which is a good thing. But if a user, someone like me, right, and someone else, maybe like yourself, if you're trying to book a last-minute vacation or a limited time promo or what have us, and this type of situation happens, you're just stuck because you can't get what you want. Now you gotta wait. Now the whole goal of what you were trying to do may not happen, etc., etc. So after getting in touch with Bilt support, they're very friendly, they're very nice and all the things, but the next step was really that, hey, just describe the whole situation, we'll escalate it to the next team, and it'll get back to you in one business day. And that may be with the solution, but it could just be, hey, we're working on it kind of scenario. So on a podcast I watched recently, Bilt CEO Ankur Jain basically said that they limit the number of people on a particular team/department at Bilt to 25 people. And in a perfect world, you may not even need that many, right? If everything is so scalable as it is. Point being, when they have a new hire, there's 90 days, right, for Bilt and the new hire to understand, okay, is this a good match? Is this a good fit? Do you basically graduate to become full-time and be a part of the Bilt team for the long term? And I'll say this, if anyone from Bilt is watching, I definitely would love to be considered for a position with the Bilt Rewards team or Bilt in general, and I'd happy to be reached out to. And for our regular viewers, man, this is the first time I'm making this type of video on the channel. It's a little different, right? It's a little mix of credit cards, but not really kind of stuff. So just comment down below if you like it, and I'll definitely add to the comments like when this is resolved and taken care of. But with that, thanks for coming to the end, and check out this video I'll leave over here, and I'll see you there. Peace for now.